Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We are committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Money Convos. Today we are discussing a very interesting topic, and we know you would love it as well. Delayed gratification. As you are well aware, we are living in a time where it feels like everything is just a click away. So it's easy to fall into a habit of spending now and worrying later. But what if you could flip that mindset? What if you could hold off on your short-term desires and achieve something far greater in the future, in your future? And that's what we are attempting to explore today. And we will give you some basic reasons why delaying some gratification now, some enjoyment now, could lead to more results for you in the future. And as always, I have with me here Adam to help discuss this topic. Hi Adam, how are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Hope you had a wonderful day.
Yeah, it's been tiring, but it's fine.
Things will get better. They always do. Okay. Let's get into the conversation then. So let's start with the basics. Let's start by defining what delayed gratification means. And so according to Wikipedia, delayed gratification is, and I quote, the ability to resist any immediate reward in anticipation of a greater reward later on. And so basically what this means is you are delaying some enjoyment, simply put, now for a future reward. And this could apply across so many areas of our lives, from the sacrifices we make in school, in our lifestyle, and in the context of our conversation today, in terms of finances. So you could think of investing or saving now, cutting down on something that you would ideally like to purchase because of some goals you want to achieve, short-term or long-term, whether it's owning your own home, starting a business, and all of that. And so that's the context in which we are discussing the topic today. And it's very important that as people who are looking to be financially independent, we understand this very well, because in the system that we live in now, we often see people rushing to buy the latest gadgets or the latest phones on the market and spend so much on something which may not necessarily be as crucial to their survival. And people often do those impulse buying without thinking of how to build a stable financial foundation for themselves. And so the question becomes, why do we think it's hard for most of us to delay some enjoyment now for something that we want to achieve in the future? And I don't know whether you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, Dennis. I believe one of the reasons is because people like to go with the flow and what is trendy and what is in vogue. So that could be a reason why people will have a challenge to delay gratification. And also, delayed gratification, it's a discipline that comes with time. It's not easy. Even the nature of our whole system, when you are hungry, you want to eat. When you feel something, you want to act on it, So, if you are not careful and you don't build in some discipline in your life, you'll be a very impulsive person because you only move with how you feel all the time. It doesn't matter whether it's about food, it's about money, it's about anything, so it's quite a process to build up to get to. So, and sometimes along the way, people get tired because they don't seem to be making any headway. So that's why they would want to just live by the moment or live for the moment. Yeah.
I agree. And you can't really blame people, right? I mean, who doesn't want to be comfortable or enjoy the nice things in life? The desire is there and can be very strong sometimes, especially when you have some resources in your hands. And when societal pressure or appearances come in, then the issue is very critical for us. But then if we allow the need to, in quote, look successful, push us to spend more than we absolutely need to spend, then it's actually a problem for us to tackle, because it then affects your ability to think of your wealth building long term, think of your long term goals and actually save for them. And so, just like Adam said, societal pressure, it's a really huge factor when it comes to delayed gratification, people grasping the concept of delayed gratification. And another point where I think we can't ignore is, so debating this topic, I asked myself, in what ways does our culture in Ghana encourage or discourage delayed gratification or instant gratification? And I could think of two. You could say one positive, one negative. So for one, I think in the rural areas and even in some urban communities, there are some practices like community-based savings, village savings and loans groups, and they encourage these people in rural communities to save more, to ignore more of the things that would take more of the immediate spending and save for bigger future goals. And that, I think, is one positive thing that's happening in our society, because a lot of people still don't have access to financial services in those areas. So it's having people save in groups like that. It helps them grasp the concept of, I can actually save more of my money to achieve a longer term goal in life. And it's really good. But however, I think the downside to our culture here in Ghana or in Africa is, I think, the societal expectation of hosting or having large, expensive celebrations like weddings and funerals. And so it kind of makes it easier for people to justify spending so much on some of these events without really thinking of the consequences. And I think to every advantage, there's a flaw, I don't know whether you have any thoughts on this, Adam, as well, in relation to how the system or culture in Ghana affects delayed gratification in a way.
Yeah, it's I don't know whether it's just restricted to Ghana, but I think with humans, there's always expectation of people, and expectations are normally sometimes, should I say, unfair to people, because maybe you have people who, you are a young person, you just graduated from university, you just started working, and then there's a societal pressure or expectations that, hey, immediately somebody's expecting probably you should start, after a few years, you should start having a car, or you should be buying a car, or you should move out into some kind of accommodation, or for some people, they are expecting that maybe you should be making certain contributions at certain places. People are expecting certain monies because some people meet you, family, extended family, they meet you elsewhere, and then they are expecting some monies from you. So if you are not careful, you would be reaching beyond what you are capable or what you are able to handle, just because that is what is expected of you. And with regards with the celebrations you were talking about, yeah, I think we are big on celebrations on our part. Things that can be just a solemn, simple, and straightforward celebration or straightforward event, we kind of make it a big thing. It has its advantages and has its disadvantages, like you were saying, but what sometimes people fail to realize is that you can actually have fun and actually be happy and actually do a kind of celebration without necessarily breaking the bank. And that's where the challenge is for a lot of people, how to that balance, being able to make sure that, look, you can actually do is a very nice and wonderful event without necessarily incurring so much losses or so much expenses. You see, so these kinds of things do happen. And, as for gratification and things, it has a lot to do with what people's expectations and perceptions are. If you're able to break that psychological barrier, you would be very, very fine. I tell you, you will do very well. But if you are really controlled by what people think and what people will say, then it will be a challenge for you. Yeah.
I agree with what you are saying. And I think that aside, the cultural and system factors aside, we are also battling with one major thing that we can't ignore. That's modern consumerism. So because of how marketing has grown, how companies market now, it's very easy for AI to track what you normally view in your web browser. And so you would normally find that targeted ads are being sent to you on your emails, sometimes your SMS and all of that. And that is because it's very easy now for these companies to track what you like and what you don't like. And even if you're able to beat the pressure from society, the pressure from, these artificial intelligence and all of that is another thing you have to battle, because these ads are crafted in ways that their sole purpose is to seduce you to buy a product. And that could, affect you delaying some gratification now to achieve a future goal. And so we are battling with a whole lot with society, with how we're brought up in relation to money, with modern marketing and consumerism. And so it's very important that we acknowledge that delayed gratification, it's something that's important in our world building, and try to learn more about it and see how we can achieve more of our financial goals by embracing this concept. And we've talked about how this is a problem for us, but the concept we want people to understand is why it's important for your world building. And as we mentioned earlier in the conversation, delayed gratification does not just happen in your finances. It cuts across every aspect of your life. It could be your career, it could be your education, it could be building your business. And so, Adam, I don't know whether you've applied this concept anywhere in your life apart from your finances. You can include that of your finances as well, but I just want us to grasp the concept well and how it can help us in other areas of our lives, so that we know that we can't just apply them in our finances.
Oh yes. As for delayed gratification, it appears or it applies in several aspects of our lives. I would take, for example, for a student, academics. Okay, you're academics, you're a student, you've gone to school. An aspect of, or how you can look at delayed gratification is how, for example, you have the option to sleep and relax, watch movies, and have a lot of fun while school is in session. Okay, that is those are the nice things that young people would want to do. But if you are a student and you are in school, the concept of delayed gratification will tell you that, look, I'm here. I have to do my best, get the best out of my schooling, and then make sure I ace my papers, and then get a good grade out of here. And then probably also make a lot of good friends and get a good network and then move out of here. So you would rather want to burn the midnight candle when it's needed, attend all your lectures or as possible, participate in tutorials, group studies, what have you. All those things don't come easy. It comes with making up your mind that you want to do this. So you go at it and go at it and go at it. And then gradually at the end of the semester or at the end of the course, you realize that now you are done. You have the opportunity to at least attend maybe a number of the parties you missed out on, or a number of the kind of outings you wanted to have while school was in session. You can take advantage of that and do it. So delayed gratification comes in several forms. And for me, if I look at academics front, this is a very, very, very important aspect, because some people don't know how to say no and say, look, it's time for me to take my book seriously and then give it my all. Okay, so they end up rather doing a lot of those things, and then when it's time for exams, you realize that, hey, I haven't learned, and then they are trying to cram everything within maybe one night before the paper, and Charlie, it's so impossible to do that, So this is one aspect, and I know as for the finance aspect, is what we'll be dealing with as we go along in the conversation. So I don't know. I can see Classic Man in the room. I think he has a lot of points to talk about when we talk about delayed gratification. Yeah.
I agree with all those points. So for one, it teaches you about patience and discipline, because just like Eden mentioned, we've all experienced that at some point in our lives, but you may not have been aware we were practicing it, especially in our education, where sometimes, exams are approaching and you just need to, it's just here, I need to lock in and study. We've all experienced it in some form or another, but once we're able to understand that this is the concept and this is how we can apply it in the various aspects of our lives, it really helps us go a long way. And so you could apply it in your career. Some people have talked about, when you go on social media, people have talked about how investing in their education, delaying some enjoyment they could have had at that point in time, and investing in their education, in some certifications early in their lives, have paid off with better job opportunities. Some people also discuss, when you listen to a lot of financial literacy podcasts like ours, how delaying the purchase of some luxury goods have allowed them to save for bigger goals like a home. In Ghana, it's common to see a lot of people owning their own businesses. So if you speak to them, they will tell you how delaying sometimes some personal needs, some personal pleasures have helped them build their businesses, and now they are reaping the rewards. Sometimes it's even in relation to your family. So some families, I think in one of our episodes, we discussed someone who sacrificed some vacations sometimes to spend some time with their family, and it has helped them in the long run. So it could apply to every part of our lives, and it's really important that you understand it and make sure that you get the concept why holding off on some small pleasures today can help you invest in yourself, can help you invest in any asset or property you have. It can help you protect the value of your money, especially in a country where we experience a lot of economic fluctuations and uncertainties. And even delaying your gratification now can help you build your business, or that business you've been thinking about building for so long. And so it's very important. Another part where I thought delaying your gratification now could really help you, it's something I mentioned just now about living in a place where economic pressures are unpredictable like Ghana. And so if you are not able to control your impulses, you are not able to decide for yourself that I'm delaying myself from buying this or doing this, and then you allow them to control what you buy all the time, it could reach a point that you could borrow to buy that item. And in a part of the world where interest rates are very high, inflation is always eating into your savings, it's very important that you understand how you can control your impulses. So we've had numerous conversations about emotional spending. You can always go back and play over that conversation, and we talk a lot about how to control yourself when you come into a windfall of money, and try to make sure that your emotions don't determine what you buy all the time. And so if you are living in a part of the world like Ghana, where interest rates are high, inflation is always eating in your savings, it's very imperative that you continue to build on your savings and make sure nothing pushes you into some debt that you can't pay off. I don't know whether you have any additional points on that, Adam.
Yeah, I think even though you mentioned the fact that when you're living in an economy like ours, where inflation is a big issue, and one day we are up, the next time we are down, and all of that, with the cycles moving up and down, I still think that it is even still imperative, even in much more stable economies, because it's even possible to ramp up so much debt, even in an economy where things are so stable, because once you are an impulsive person, or you are somebody who just acts on your emotions, especially with regards to your finances, you would so soon run into debt. So yes, it is very, very imperative in our side of the world, because debt can be very expensive. But even in places where debt is not that expensive or relatively cheaper, it still is going to be a problem, because it doesn't matter how much you earn, if you are not somebody who knows how to delay gratification, you will so soon realize that your money will never be enough for you, and you would always keep ramping up debts and all that. So for those of us who have been listening to the Dave Ramsey podcast, we hear so many kinds of people calling in, and so many caliber of people with different kinds of economic backgrounds, some earning six figures and still having challenges with debt. So it's a very, very, very important concept, and it's a very basic concept that undergirds personal finance, because without that, you would be unable to stick to a budget. Without that, you'll be unable to stick to your goals, because you will just be moving on the spur of the moment. And once you are just acting on the spur of the moment, it means that you are not going in any particular direction. And once you are not going in any direction or any destination is where you will land. So it's very, very important that we think about it in this regard, that even if maybe for now you are in Ghana, or yes, you are in an African country where things are not all that okay, you might relocate one day to another place where things are much more stable. But then you might realize probably there's even much more easier access to credit and debt. So if you are not careful, you don't plan properly, next thing you are ramping up more debt, because it's so easy to just get a credit card. It's so easy to just swipe and pay. It's so easy to just order something online and have it delivered, even when you don't have money available, because, there's some form of high purchase, or there's some sort of buy now, pay later, some form of, something, and the next thing you realize, there's a whole big debt that has mounted in front of you, and you don't know what to do about it. So I think it's a very critical skill, or it's a very critical aspect of our lives that we need to develop, so we can be able to survive no matter where we find ourselves in the world. Yeah.
Fantastic points there, Adam. And so the key takeaway, once you control your impulses, you get intentional about protecting your money. You save yourself a lot of stress. You don't take on debt that you don't necessarily have to take on. You're able to apply the concept in other parts of your life where you need to discipline yourself in order to achieve your goals. And so it's very important that you cultivate the practice of delayed gratification. Learn to put some enjoyment aside in the meantime for some future goal that you have, and it will pay off in the long run. And now the question becomes, okay, how do I practice it in my daily life? And one key strategy that we always hammer on every episode that we have is to set clear financial goals for yourself. Because without a goal, you don't know what you are sacrificing for. And so a typical example would be you probably have a goal in your career to take some certification, to have your postgraduates, and once you have that goal and you set clear goals, not having ones where you are always, I want to do this today, I want to do this tomorrow. Once you're able to set clear goals for yourself, you know where you want to get to, you know what you want to sacrifice to get there, and you are able to practice delayed gratification every single time you get the opportunity to. So it's worth setting clear financial goals. I think we encountered this concept when we were watching Ramit's show, How to Get Rich. And he said your investment plan is more important than your investment itself. You could have an investment, but without a plan, forget it. You are not getting anywhere. So it's important that you set clear financial goals for yourself, know what you are working towards, know where you want to go, and it will help you resist unnecessary spending. I don't know whether you have any additional points to add to that, Adam.
Yep. So like you mentioned, the overarching point is having clear goals. Having clear goals gives you a direction, gives you where you are headed, opens the door to you seeing exactly where you are going. Okay, then now next step, you have to have a clear action plan. How are you going to arrive at that goal? And that's where for financial goals, the clear line of action is your budget, either your annual budget or your monthly budget or your weekly budget or whatever, because that is the one that is going to direct you as to how you're going to put in your money to use so that you can arrive at the destination that you have in mind. So it's very, very important that you have a clear goal. And then that goal will now feed into your budget, because you can't say that, for example, you are working, you are earning some amount of money. Okay. And then you want to do a postgraduate degree or something. Maybe you want to study a master's. You know that maybe, let's say, I don't know, but I don't know how much they cost now, but let's just say maybe it's like, maybe 15,000 cedis, or let's say, let me just make it easy. So let's say 12,000 cedis. Okay. And then probably you look at it, and then, if you could save 1,000 cedis every month, then it means that in a year you would have enough money to pay for that course. Okay. Now, you can't have that goal of going to do your master's and then your budget, you are probably putting aside, let's say 200 cedis towards the master's. Meanwhile, you say you are going to do the master's course in a year's time. Okay. So your budget has to go in line with what you have envisaged. So that means that it will determine how you are going to be spending your thing. So that, for example, maybe, I don't know how much, maybe you earn maybe 4,000 or 5,000 cedis a month or something like that. It will inform how you are going to be setting money aside towards pursuing this course. And even that might help you to realize that probably how much you are earning is not enough to be able to save money and be able to also achieve the goal that you have. So probably you might want to now get a second income or get another source of money from somewhere else. So all these things help you to be able to put your thoughts together and your life together while you're working towards the destination that you have in mind. Else you would be having one plan in mind, and then your life is going in a different direction. and you will never seem to be able to achieve the plan, your goal, because you are not working in sync with what you have set out to do. Okay, so that's, for me, is one of the most important things you need to do, your budget, which will now implement your vision and your plan or your goals that you have set for yourself.
I totally agree. You just can't ignore those fundamentals, Budgeting, it's like the first step you should take when it comes to your planning. And just like Adam said, it will help you to know where you want to get to, know what steps to take to get there, and if you should probably have a change of career or change of jobs in order to, enhance your income. And so it's very important that we are able to sit down and determine all these things on ourselves. If you need help, there are always professionals out there to help you. Here at Money Convos, we always discuss personal finance topics to help you reach your financial goals. And we have a lot of episodes, and even one very critical one on emotional spending is in the archive. So once you go to any podcast platforms, you can search for Money Convos, listen to our episode on emotional spending, and we discuss a lot of things that can affect your emotions when it comes to spending and how you can tackle that, because we are humans. Anything can affect your spending. Anything can affect your emotions. So don't forget to take intentional steps to take control of your money, and it will really help you in the long run. And so before we wrap up, let's go over some key reasons why we think delayed gratification can be a game changer for you on your path to financial independence. And so say you are starting a business. By saving now instead of spending impulsively, you can build your capital to invest in that venture or business that you really want to open. Say you want to buy a land or property. Saving now, being patient on what you want to spend to now, can help you accumulate enough funds to buy that property or land that you want to buy. Let's say you want to invest in your education, just like Adam said. Denying yourself some luxuries now can help you gather enough funds to invest in your education. Sometimes it could be your child's education. And these intentional steps, these little steps, could really help you in the long run. And one very important point that we mentioned was about avoiding debt that you don't have to take. Denying yourself some of these small luxuries can help you in the long run to avoid taking on debt to buy items you don't really need. And it can help you avoid high interest loans. And so we've really gone into the topic today about how the concept of delayed gratification can help you, not just in your finances, but in your career, in your education, in your family as well. And these points are not exhaustive. There are a whole lot more on the advantages of denying yourself, or why denying yourself some little pleasures today can help you achieve your goals in the long run. So I don't know, Adam, whether you have any closing remarks for our audience as they go back to ponder on this topic.
Yeah, so I think with the delayed gratification, what always comes to my mind is Dave Ramsey's famous quote, "Live like no one else so that you can live and give like no one else." Okay, so right now, you just have to make sure that you are living according to what plan and vision you have for your life, denying yourself some of the pleasures of life and some of the things that the largesse that you could get for yourself now, because later on you want to be able to live largely and a fulfilled life and be able to do much more. Because one important thing is that once you do these things, you are taking advantage of compound interest, because you are putting money aside, making investments that are going to be taking advantage of compound interest rather than spending, and you rather being at the receiving end of compound interest when you ramp up debt. So that's why it's always important to keep that saying in mind, that live like no one else. So it doesn't matter what other people are doing. Maybe people are going on holidays, traveling, vacationing, and doing all of those things now. because probably they can afford it, but you can't. So you would have to live within your means and defer some of the things till later. Then later, by the time you are in the position to do that, those who didn't do what you did and probably were just living in the moment will now be looking at you and wondering, how did you arrive at this place? Because you have been able to live like no one else. And now you are living like no one else and also giving like no one else. So delayed gratification is very, very important. And we should ensure that we keep that in mind and keep working on our goals, our plans, and then our vision, and help that and let that feed into how we go about our daily lives, day-to-day lives, so that in the end, we'll look back and we'll see that, oh, it's really paid off as we invested in, especially in our young years. Later in our old age or in our adult years, we'll look back and then we'll see that, okay, wow, we really, really did really did a thing, because we were able to save consistently and be able to get a lot of things to our advantage.
Thank you so much, Adam, for your insightful tips. And to our audience, we hope you found this conversation useful and insightful, and that you feel very inspired to start practicing it in your own financial journey. Remember, as we always say here, the small sacrifices or the small steps that you take today can lead to bigger rewards tomorrow. And if you want to learn more about how to make progress on your financial journey, please don't forget to visit our previous episodes on any podcast platform. Just search for Money Convos, or you can replay all our conversations here on X. You can follow us on Instagram, on YouTube. You could send us a DM on any question you have about money that you have, and we can address them in the podcast for you. And if you're also looking to learn more about your money and how to make it work for you, look no further than Investment Friend. So the next time you're on Instagram, just search for investment_friend. And there we have Sarah and Mimi, who have the time to guide you towards your financial goals and any financial goals that you have. So please don't hesitate to reach out to Investment Friend, and they are always available to help you. Thank you so much for making the time to join us once again this week, and we'll catch you the same time next week for another interesting episode, so don't go anywhere. Thank you, stay safe, stay strong, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.